After a 2-week break, One Piece recently returned with a phenomenal chapter to mark the beginning of the upcoming streak of chapters. Oda delivered what could be considered to be the very best chapter of the year so far, and one of the very best in the entire story. All eyes are now on One Piece 1086, and it will most certainly be an incredible chapter to finally drop the curtains on the flashback of Sabo. The events of the Reverie will finally be closed, and the focus will return to the main timeline of the story. Undoubtedly, One Piece chapter 1086 is going to be very big, just as the past few chapters have been as well. Big News Morgan's entry. One Piece chapter 1086 will most likely throw some light on Big News Morgans. As fans know, Wapol and Vivi are currently with Big News Morgans. In the previous chapter, fans saw Wapol try to escape from the Pangaea castle as he went eating his way through the walls, thanks to the ability of his Baku Baku no Mi. With Vivi at his side, Wapol abandoned his wife, Cinderella, and ran straight for the exit. It is very unlikely that anyone will be able to stop them, given that Wapol is a king and the Cipher Pole will likely not be able to attack them in public space. He will most likely make his way to the edge of the red line and find some way to safety. From the previous acts of Wano, fans also know that Wapol then contacts Morgans because he has news to sell. Morgans immediately starts moving, and he will most likely make his way to the location where Wapol is at. The two will then meet and fly to a different location altogether, keeping Vivi as a hostage as well. It is very likely that Wapol gave every bit of information to Morgans. However, Morgans certainly has not printed the information about Imu and the 5 elders just yet. Whether he's going to do that or not remains to be seen, and One Piece 1086 will certainly aid in that regard. Sabos Escape. One Piece 1086 will most likely also cover Sabos' escape from Pangaea Castle, along with the other members of the Revolutionary Army. As fans know, Sabo is gravely injured at the moment due to an attack that was likely launched by one of the 5 elders. Nonetheless, fans also know that he safely makes his way out of mariejois. How exactly Sabo makes his way out isn't known. What fans do know, however, is that the Revolutionary Army splits up. The other commanders manage to take Kuma away and make their way back to Monwaro Island. Meanwhile, Sabo somehow ends up on an island near Lelusia and, as seen previously, he contacted Dragon from that island. Fans will finally get to see how he made his way out of the cursed place that he described to be hell atop the red line. One Piece 1086 will shed a lot of light on his escape and also the escape of the other members of the Revolutionary Army, along with the slaves that they freed. Fans can also get a look at how exactly they transported the slaves out of the Holy Land. Fujitora, one of the admirals, will likely aid in this process as well, as he was at odds with Ryukugyu, who wanted to recapture the slaves. One Piece chapter 1086 might also give fans a glimpse of Imu and the 5 elders lamenting the fact that they could not stop Sabo, or even King Wapol from escaping. At the very least, fans know that the 5 elders took notice of someone spying on them. At the same time, they let Sabo escape from their grasp, and this would be a great concern for them. Revolutionary Army make their move. One Piece 1086 will most likely also cut back to the present, as the flashback will likely wrap up in the next chapter. Undoubtedly, this flashback has been intense and has delivered some incredibly nerve-wracking moments for the fans to digest. It has also revealed bits from the history connected to the Void Century and has fleshed out the character of Imu a lot more, adding a lot to their history as well as showing their powers. The 5 elders have, thankfully, also received quite a bit of characterization, and fans now also know that they are capable fighters, on top of being at the head of the world. As the flashback ends, the story will likely go back to Monwaro Island, where Sabo was seen conversing with Ivankov and Dragon. The truth about Imu's identity will surely be a great shock to Dragon as well as Ivankov. Fans might get to see what move they plan on making next. It is possible that Dragon will want to meet up with Vegapunk, given that he is the smartest man in the entire world and has tremendous information related to the history of the world. Kuma, on the other hand, has also seen quite a lot of things in mariejois, and getting information out of him would also be one of the key things that Dragon would want to do. Everything points at the Revolutionary Army making their move and attempting to fight against the Holy Knights, who will be mobilized very soon. A return to Egghead Island. One Piece chapter 1086 could also see the story return to Egghead. It has been quite a long time since fans got to see Luffy and the Straw Hat crew. while the chapters that they didn't appear in have been nothing short of spectacular. At the end of the day, Luffy and the crew are the heart of One Piece, and seeing them back would be a welcome change by the fans. Furthermore, events on Egghead are getting more intense and, as Oda has teased previously, the Egghead incident is almost upon the fans. One Piece 1086 could take fans back to Egghead Island, where Vegapunk is going to be rescued very soon, and, at the same time, York has revealed her falseness. Furthermore, a ship of the Blackbeard pirates is approaching the island and, at the same time, a navy fleet led by Kizaru, with even St. J. Garcia Saturn on board, and 100 battleships behind him, is approaching Egghead as well. The Egghead incident is going to be an event of massive proportions that will shake the entire world of One Piece, and fans are just a few chapters away from it. No matter what way fans look at it, One Piece Chapter 1086 is going to be jam-packed with a lot of incredible incidents that will only enrich the story even further. And in other news, One Piece. What could Luffy's next power-up be? The climax of the Wano arc in One Piece saw the series protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy, go up against and defeat Kaido, one of the strongest individuals in the world and one of the former 4 emperors of the sea. Over the course of his time in Wano, Luffy fought with Kaido a grand total of 3 times, with each successive clash providing him a great deal of insight into how he could advance his fighting capabilities. Although Luffy was already quite powerful during his first fight against the captain of the Beast's pirates, having beaten the likes of Doflamingo and Charlotte Katakuri, he was defeated in almost no time, which made him grasp the gap in power between them. This pushed him to train intensely, working on his advanced armament haki, known as Ryu in Wano, which would allow him to damage targets from the inside rather than inflicting damage at the surface, in order to bypass Kaido's tough skin and scales in the dragon form granted to him by his devil fruit. While this did aid him during their second clash, it was only the revelation of the ability to coat oneself in Conquerors haki that saw Luffy finally begin to close the divide between him and his adversary, and proceed to fight him on equal footing. Lastly, the awakening of his devil fruit, which was unveiled as a mythical Zoan known as the Hito Hito no Mi model, Nika, gave him the final boost in power he needed to overcome Kaido's incredible might, as he fought with a degree of freedom that had not been seen before. At this current juncture in One Piece, Luffy's strength is shown to be virtually equal to that of an emperor and perhaps even on par with the admirals, but he still has a ways to go before reaching the heights of Shanks, who at present is likely the most powerful character in the series till date. Hence, it is fairly certain that Luffy will still need 1 or 2 more boosts in strength before finally taking on the likes of Blackbeard, or the strongest fighters in the Marines and world government, mastering Gear 5, described by Luffy himself as his peak. Gear 5 afforded him a massive boost in speed, power, and durability, with healing and regeneration on a level that is absolutely ridiculous. The malleability of Luffy's rubber body also reaches new heights, as he was able to withstand direct attacks from Kaido's Hasaikai, stretching to exaggerated extents in order to absorb the force exerted on him, but subsequently returning to his natural state in almost no time. This regeneration is active at all times, even when Luffy is unconscious, indicating that it is his body's base state in Gear 5. Luffy can instantly switch between his Gear 2, 3, and 4 forms at will, and even turn himself into a giant. Beyond all this, his greatest power-up comes from his ability to modify his surroundings into rubber, limited only by his own imagination. Luffy was able to stretch the very ground itself to block Kaido's blast breath and redirect it towards his opponent, showcasing the obscene and almost cartoonish nature of his devil fruit awakening. He could also apply this to intangible substances such as lightning, which opens up many doors in terms of how he can use his newfound abilities. In spite of all these benefits, the glaring issue with Gear 5 is the sheer amount of energy it consumes when activated. During the fight with Kaido, it is fair to assume that Luffy was in this state for a few minutes in the closing exchanges of the fight, hinting that he has yet to master it completely. Even after this short duration, he experiences intense fatigue and exhaustion on transforming back, and appears to visibly age in the process, even if he can trigger the state once again by altering his heartbeat to match the drums of liberation. In this scenario, the longer a battle drags on, the more of a toll it will take on Luffy's body, and the exhaustion will probably compound with each repeated use of Gear 5 in quick succession. Luffy's body still needs to get used to the strain of using the form, much like he did over the time skip with Gear 2 and Gear 3, to be able to enter Gear 5 at will without wearing himself out entirely. The form might have been extremely effective in finishing off Kaido after a long and drawn-out confrontation, but Luffy definitely has a lot of work to do in case he needs to use it against even more powerful adversaries like Shanks, Blackbeard, or the Admirals in extended battles. Leveling up his haki. Over the course of his last 2 battles against Kaido, Luffy came to understand the true potential of Conquerors' haki and learned to code his own attacks with it, boosting the offensive power of his attacks to new heights. Kaido himself stated that devil fruits and all other power-ups were futile in the new world, as haki triumphed over all. This can also be seen in the case of someone like Shanks, who relies primarily on his swordsmanship and haki, much like the former Pirate King himself, who also never ate a devil fruit. Luffy's initial use of Conquerors' haki coding was described as crude and amateurish by Kaido, even if it allowed the Straw Hat Captain to fight on level terms with him. This changed by the time of their 3rd fight, where Kaido finally acknowledged Luffy's strength after taking considerable damage from his Conqueror's haki-infused attacks, indicating that his use of the ability was now nearly on par with that of an Emperor of the Sea. Nonetheless, Luffy still has not attained power that can rival someone like Shanks, Roger, or even his own grandfather Garp, who have all displayed a degree of Conqueror's haki coding that can level entire cities or battlefields in a single strike. In this vein, aside from his already overpowered Devil Fruit ability, Luffy will have to undergo serious training to learn advanced haki in the style of Shanks' level of Future Sight, Conqueror's haki coding, and even his observation killing and ability to project his will over long distances. It is possible that Luffy might acquire these skills after training with or clashing against Shanks in the upcoming Elbaf arc. With these upgrades to his arsenal, Luffy might finally be able to challenge the world's strongest in one-off battles, and charge towards his dream of laying claim to the One Piece, the voice of all things. Lastly, one of Luffy's abilities, which is yet to be explored in its entirety, is his capacity to hear the voice of all things. In the past, the Pirate King, Goldie Roger, was shown to possess a similar ability, being able to hear the voices of the Sea Kings, much like Luffy did at the time of the Fishman Island arc. Additionally, Luffy was also able to hear the giant elephant Zunesha, Joy Boy's former companion, who carries the nation of Zou on its back. It is worth noting in this case that Luffy was unable to understand what the elephant was saying, unlike Kozuki Momonosuke, who was able to hear its voice and comprehend the information being relayed. Whether this ability will manifest as the power to command Sea Kings, rally armies and allies, or control large numbers of individuals and creatures is yet to be revealed, and the final saga of One Piece may yet hold answers to this and many other questions. That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more amazing videos very soon.